Hi, my name is Mallory Jenner Robinson. Join me on A Hateful Homicide, a true crime and investigative journalism podcast dedicated to telling the stories regarding the murders and hate crimes of our transgender, non-binary, intersex, and two-spirit community members in the United States and abroad. This is A Hateful Homicide.
Darkcast Network, bringing our indie podcasts out of the shadows.
Greetings, my lovely witches and beautiful souls. You are listening to another episode of the Bell Witch Podcast, the magical podcast that gets you witching in the 21st century. With me, Swailes, the friendly green witch. This is another absolutely fantastic Moot Loot with a lovely dude, Crow Moon, who is a Wiccan priest, hailing all the way over from across the pond in Arizona, and has this amazing podcast-worthy voice, not like my blooming foghorn here. It was a lovely conversation just about how positive our witchcraft is to us. It's a bit of a love letter to witchcraft and paganism, really. A very inspiring person when it comes to creating music and circles and running things, writing books and all sorts. And this one has been waiting around a long time. I might have said this before, but when guests mention dates, upcoming dates, I have to rejig some interviews to be more beneficial to the guest who's being interviewed. Luckily, some podcast interviews don't mention any dates and therefore they can easily be switched around. So this one has been waiting around for some time. But what I absolutely love about this is when you've had an interview wait around for quite a while and then you edit it, you remember the amazing conversations that you have with your guests. And we had a really good connection. And although he was quite shy and he didn't want his camera on, which is absolutely fine, there is no pressure to come on camera because all I need is the voice in terms of the Bell Witch podcast. That didn't hinder our natural flow of conversation. I think this one is a lovely one to end on for the summer break, the summer I try and have, August, not podcasting, which is so hard and I never quite achieve that because I've just got so much to say to you, and even more so at the moment. I need to update you on, I'm going to call it the Feng Shui fallout because so much stuff went wrong last 2 weeks. And if you heard my last Solitary Witch episode, you will know I have been obsessing with Feng Shui. And I've been trying to do 2 or 3 Feng Shui things a day. And it's obviously unblocked a lot of stagnant energy. And all kinds of stuff were going wrong. And I was like, what is going on? Have I done something wrong here? Honestly, I'll have to do a little mini bonus episode just to update you all. It was just like, what have I done? Please help me. A quick shout out to the new members of the Bell Witch Patreon, Emily Newman Stanton and Louise Blackform. Welcome, and I hope you like it here. There's a couple of new things, witch stories and a cauldron of woo. I encourage you not to join as a free member because the only people that benefits is Patreon. You don't actually get anything. I don't actually get anything. Patreon gets your details. And also, if you do join, do it via a browser on your phone or on your computer, because if you do it through the app, Apple adds some money to it, the cheeky buggers. So if you're going to join for free, join for a free week taster of the full circle. No obligation to stay, absolutely not, as long as you're not on the free one. I think it's a bit of a rubbish deal, if I'm quite honest, and I've learnt this from other podcasts. And if you do sign up, however brief the time may be, do join my little Discord channel where we all have a little chat about really cool stuff, and you can influence me on this podcast and I can answer questions, have a little discussion about what's floating your witchy boat. It's a really nice little community and it does inspire me and it does get me thinking about what I can give you as a podcaster. One of my members suggested I start calling you, the listener, the magic ears, and I think I'm gonna, the magical ears. Bloody love that. It's gonna happen. One more thing before I let you enjoy the Moot Loot episode. I am collaborating with the Free Ravens podcast. Yes, them amazing, lovely people over there, Eleanor and Martin. So nice. I interviewed them for a podcast episode which will air probably in early September. And there was such pros at it. We had such a good conversation. And they've sent me a signed book for you to enter in the competition and win for free. I'll post it out for free. I will probably put a few witchy freebies in there from my own stock because I love it. All you have to do is on Instagram, follow me, the Bell Witch Podcast, with underscores separating the words. Follow the Free Ravens Podcast, which is at Free Ravens Podcast, and share us on stories. Tag us if you can. If it's private, send me a little screenshot or even just say I've shared it but it's private. I will believe you. You'll be put into the competition, which is going to be drawn on Mayburn. It closes the day before my birthday, which is the 19th of September, and I'm going to draw it on Mayburn. Patreon subscribers get one free entry automatically. Paid subscribers, not the free one that I'm trying to encourage you not to do. Any tier whatsoever, you'll automatically get put a one extra in if you do it on Instagram, or if you don't do it on Instagram, my Patreon members all get an entry. So, how exciting is that? Oh my gosh, I hope to collab a bit more and maybe appear on their podcast. Now I've got over that barrier of going on other people's podcasts. So yeah, there's loads of stuff going on. It's so exciting. Right, I should probably let you listen to this lovely Moot Loot with Crow Moon. And I've got to acknowledge there was so much talk of weather. I don't know if this is a witch thing or a British thing. I just can't help it. I just have to talk about the weather. It's bizarre. There's also the gift of music in this episode. And at the end, there's a full track like I did with Shannon Pearl because I quite like doing that. And if you do end up falling asleep to this podcast, I won't blame you because you'll see what I mean when you hear my Moot Loot guests' rather calming and relaxing podcast-worthy voice. Welcome, Crow Moon, to the Bell Witch Podcast. It's great to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I am so excited to be here. Thank you very much for having me on.
I was looking into all the stuff you do, and wow, what a treasure chest of wonders you are. It's really impressive, all the things that you listed. Would you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
My name is Crow Moon. I am a solitary Wiccan in southern Arizona, also the founder of the Corvidae Circle Wiccan tradition. And I teach meditation as well as nature-based spirituality online.
And you do Reiki as well.
I do Reiki. I do crystal Reiki.
Yeah.
And in my free time, I do some writing, and I'm a musician.
And a poet.
And a poet, yes.
Oh, I love poems. I'm a poet as well.
I love poetry. It just kind of lends itself to writing spells.
Absolutely. And you also mentioned you're a qualified, here we go, Ayurveda, is it?
Ayurveda, yes.
Oh, what's that then?
It is a system of balancing the doshas through nutrition. It's kind of a different take on spell work. It's pairing what you consume with your particular dosha.
Oh, wow. I've never even heard of it. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's an ancient Indian practice, and I discovered that when I was studying to become a yoga teacher many years ago. And I found it very, very interesting and something that I just wanted to go ahead and pursue. I don't practice it often other than on myself, But it was just fascinating to learn because it does play into everything else as far as chakras and doshas and the body and the mind. So it's very, very interesting how that all interplays.
So it's more than just mindful eating. There's more to it than that.
There is more to it than that. Like I said, I learned the Pitta dosha and found out that I needed to be eating. I was eating a lot of things that weren't compatible with my dosha. It doesn't mean stop eating them, but it means concentrate in other ways.
Oh, I'm going to start researching.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it sounds so complementary to witchcraft. Well, one of the rules is be nice to other witches, care about the witches in the world, but also care about yourself, right? Like including the terrain of the body and
That is so right. And you're also right in how it pairs with witchcraft. That's what I found so fascinating. It was through yoga, believe it or not, that I discovered witchcraft and Wicca and finally started paying attention to it. And as I made that discovery, I was just amazed. I was like, wow, okay, first of all, this is completely foreign, or it was at the time. And I'm like, there is nothing I'm learning here that is not compatible or incongruent with yoga.
so that's how you found witchcraft through yoga.
It is actually because I went and took a semester of yoga many years ago for my personal enlightenment. And I enjoyed it so much. I was so inspired by that particular instructor that I wanted to pursue yoga teacher training. Well, in that process, I was doing research. I had to write a lot of papers. And as I was researching things such as energy and chakras, every search I performed, I would come across something that had to do with witchcraft or Wicca. And at the time, I wasn't on any spiritual journey at all. I was just being. And it kept happening. And I was like, okay, fine, I will take a look. And I started reading up on it. And that's when the connection finally clicked. It's like, wow, this is complementary to what I've already been studying. Plus, it answers a bunch of questions I've always had.
Uncanny timing.
Yeah, a totally unplanned and very, very eye opening.
So you came into witchcraft quite late then in your life.
I did. And that's one of the reasons that I began helping others and teaching online is because when I did discover it later in life, and I was very upset at first that it took me so long. But, I just kept going. And as I was trying to get that out of my mind, I'm telling myself, okay, well, you're here now. That's all that matters. I came across so many great resources by wonderful authors and teachers. I decided that I also wanted to put things out there for people, not to recruit, but for people who came to the craft on their own and wanted that help. So I tried to produce things that I was specifically looking for when I was starting that journey.
And it does find you when the time is right. I mean, I also found it quite late, really. I was a goth. I was into all gothy stuff as a teenager and throughout my 20s. And then after I had my first baby, that is when witchcraft was really obvious, and it became a massive part of my life.
When that realization hits, it's undeniable, isn't it?
It is. And what's really balmy as well is to many folks out there, I forget that witchcraft is still quite negative. And to me, it's like so beautifully positive.
It is. I have trouble sometimes keeping that in consideration that other people don't view it the same way that I do and that we do. They have the same connotation I did when it kept popping up in all these searches I was doing. I was like, wow, I've been told, oh, that's nothing I need to look at. And I finally looked at it and I was like, why have I been told not to
Yeah.
see this? I had a completely different upbringing. I was actually raised Christian and was in that faith for a very, very long time. And I finally came to terms with the fact that it just simply was not working for me. And when I did discover witchcraft, like I said, I wasn't on any path at all. I was just happy just being. And then it it called to me, and I was like, wow, this provides a lot of answers to questions I've had my entire life. There was no turning back. There was no looking away.
Totally resonate with that. My mental health is the best it's ever been because of the whole, like, just connecting to the earth and not being so eaten up by capitalism and making money, honey, and, like, look around you and hear the birds, and oh my gosh, I love it.
Yes, definitely the connection with the earth. And also, I think the biggest thing that I've found through this is I feel like for the first time in my life, I have actually known true peace. And everyone I
Goosebumps.
share that with has the same reaction. They're like, yes, peace. It's this wonderful feeling of that peace and freedom when you do make that discovery.
So your magical name, Crow Moon, I take it you've got an affinity with crows. Is there a story behind your name?
There is a story behind it, actually. When I first started out, I decided that I was not going to take a craft name at all. Nothing against it. I thought, yeah, it's just not for me. And then one morning, my wife and I were out taking a walk as I was pondering this. And we were turning to come home, and we made that turn. All of a sudden, this group of crows literally came down and landed at my feet. And they looked up at me with this very serious look. I mean, if there's ever a definition of the word being summoned, it was that. They just looked straight at me and said, "You're taking your craft name. And guess what? We have a suggestion." So that's how the crow part came about. And I've always had this very fond love for the moon ever since I was quite young, even before I even thought about witchcraft. So I just paired the two together, and I think it pretty much kind of tells my story.
Do you know what the crow represents in general in witchcraft?
Typically, change is coming. A lot of people view it as just a sign of like something that change being a negative or perhaps death. And I don't. I view it like the death card in tarot. You pull the card, everyone, a lot of people get very upset when they see that. And I tell them, no, that's not what that means. It means a change. So to me, the crow definitely represents change or transformation. And that's exactly what was happening at that time in my life.
For me, the crow represents a coming of news. They're just so regal, aren't they? And so powerful and self-assuring and big. I mean, they're a big bird.
They are quite big. And I would also add in messengers. You look at, say, Odin, for example, sending the ravens out to find out what was going on, and they would report back to him. I think crows do have messages for us.
And again, it's like media, and it gives them a bad rep. They're seen in films, in horrors, and
Yes, that, and every time, I'm like out in the mall and I see a movie poster up, I love horror movies. It has nothing to do with witchcraft. I've just always enjoyed them. And whenever I see one and it's got usually at least one of these three, the full moon, the pentacle, or a crow or a raven, and I just can't even begin to take it seriously at that point.
I always think like, why are you using this? Is it because you're trying to delete the connection between, like, nature and being happy and being a witch?
Yes, I do believe they're trying to do that, or at the very heart of it, they're unaware of that connection.
Yeah.
And it just seems to be in the grab bag of stock imagery for that genre. And it's completely not the case. And it does paint a picture of the craft that is largely inaccurate, I think.
Yeah, hoodwinking us all. So I'll be listening to a few podcasts with you being interviewed for a bit of research, and I've just got to say, you have such a podcast voice.
Oh, thank you.
You really do. I can't believe. Or do you have your own podcast? Because if you don't, you should totally get one.
I don't have a podcast. It's something I've been thinking about, but I haven't explored. But thank you. Perhaps that will be the encouragement I need.
The sign. It's the sign. Universe.
Perhaps so. I've learned very recently to not ignore the signs.
And on one of the interviews, you said this quote, and I thought, wow, it's an amazing quote. And it was on Wicca. being seen as a religion. I think the host was asking you about the religion, and you said, I don't consider it a religion. I consider it a relationship. And I were like, whoa, that is the quote.
Well, thank you. That comes from the heart. I do feel it is and should be a relationship. Coming from the background of organized religion, the word religion itself, it took a long time for that to stop resonating negatively with me. But it's a word that when you're out in society, you're having conversations with other folks about this, that term does come up, so I do use it, but I do much prefer saying it's a relationship. I heard a wonderful person say many years ago, speaking about a particular place, she said that all relationships are honored here. And I thought, wow, that is a wonderful way of saying it instead of using the word religion.
It's beautiful and it makes complete sense to me. And I think I'm going to start using it now in that respect, because I avoid the term religion like the plague, if I'm honest. And spirituality is all right. It's a kind of a little bit sort of corny now, because it's overused and it's such a massive umbrella in its spirituality. It could be into anything under the term of spirituality. But I
That's
think
very
that,
true. Yeah, it
yeah,
applies to a lot of things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do prefer saying relationship, because another thing I say all the time is that Wicca and witchcraft, these are not spectator sports. This is something that requires a regular involvement on the practitioner's part. And I've also found that since I have discovered this, my willingness to actively participate on a regular basis it comes quite naturally, and it comes easily. And that's another thing that was new to me at the beginning.
yeah, it's not a chore. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living, isn't it?
It is very much a lifestyle. I mean, even in the way or like when I prepare dinner, stir the food, I always draw an invoking pentacle into it. I stir it clockwise according to my tradition. It's just always in everything you do, or at least it should be, I think.
Magic can be everywhere. It is just intent and ritual. And it doesn't have to be all bells and whistles, does it? It doesn't have to be like candles and incense and
No, and those things are fine, and I use them. I am very much a tool person. I love tools. They help me stay focused. I keep telling people that the key component to any magical working is your intention, as you mentioned. And once you have that, the rest is nice. And of course, like I said, I use it, but intention is the most important thing. And I also say your words, your thoughts are spells. So choose those words and thoughts carefully, because magic is all around us, like you said, and we're constantly interacting with it. So we want to be at our best with every interaction.
yeah. We're distracted, aren't we, as a nation of human beings?
We're very distracted, and it's hard to avoid sometimes. But I think once you ground and develop your inner core, it does become easier. But it's always a challenge to be mindful and be in the moment.
And show gratitude. And I think as well, intention and responsibility, because like you say, words have power, even the word you say to yourself, more so really. It's all spells, all magic.
That's a good point you made too, is responsibility. A lot of people, when they first hear about Wicca, they think, oh, wow, okay, well, let me try this out. It sounds cool. And once I do this, I can just cast spells and have a perfect life. And it does not work that way. I tell people it doesn't make your life perfect. It enables you to cope with things in a much more healthy and constructive way. And if you choose to cope with them in a negative way, there are going to be consequences to that. So there is this huge component of not only intention, but responsibility.
It makes me so much more aware of surroundings and my impact in terms of environment and eco-friendliness. I start to think, do I really need that coffee? You know, because I'll have to go and get a coffee cup and then throw it in the bin. I don't do that anymore because of witchcraft.
Exactly. Yes, it does modify your lifestyle in that way, at least to a certain extent. You are more conscious of the earth, the environment, all of the things around you. I noticed that I started seeing more interactions as spiritual, and that was huge for me. Again, it was something I never felt or experienced in my previous upbringing.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you think of an example?
I think again, I'll jump back to the crow story. Before, I would have thought, oh well, they're just here looking for food. And in that moment, I was able to have an awareness of a possible higher meaning. So I think in that way, it brings us to a higher plane of awareness and openness to what's going on around us, to what could really be behind what's going on around us.
It's like following the breadcrumbs from the higher realms and the universe. And I think that's how I do this podcast, really. You know, I don't plan that far in advance. I look for or notice little nudges and little signs as to what I should cover next in terms of topics and stuff.
I do very much the same thing. When I'm getting ready for Circle, sometimes the best ideas hit me the day before, or a couple of hours before, or even worse, right when I lay down to go to sleep.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Then you can't
I
sleep.
hate that.
I call that the creative curse.
It is a curse. So I've kind of steered away from the notion of keeping a notepad on the nightstand, because then I will get up and use it, and then I'll be up the rest of the day.
Or it's shower, then you've got like soggy note pages everywhere. I'm a sod for that as well.
Exactly. There is definitely a need for a time of rest, isn't there?
Yeah, to recharge and grow. You mentioned there your circles, and I know you said you are a priest, a Wiccan priest, and I do believe you're the first Wiccan priest I've ever actually talked to, unless I've talked to them and I didn't know it was them. So do you have a coven?
I don't have a coven per se. I have my own tradition, and that tradition is practiced through both online and now in-person circles. So it's a group that will meet together in circle, but it's not a coven by definition. It's more, I would say, if you want to have a term for it, a circle. It's not the same people each time. Largely it is, but some people come and go. There isn't a membership. It's basically an opportunity presented for like-minded people to come together for celebrations of the Esbats, the Sabbats, or whatever the circle is for at that time.
I like that because it's more accessible and life happens. Most of what the kind of stuff I do as well, I like rent a coven.
Exactly. And I have absolutely no problem with covens, nothing against them at all. This just works for me, and I put it out there for those who it also works for them.
And do you lead it online?
I do, yes. We have something just about every week. I'll either be leading a circle for something we're celebrating, or host workshops for different topics. I did one just yesterday on Beltane, crafting herbs and incense and essential oil blends and so forth. Different ways to celebrate different Sabbats and seasonal celebrations.
Oh, so people make it home with you at the same time.
They can. It's not required. I'm not necessarily a crafty person, so to speak. I will share my recipes for, like I just did with the incense blend for Beltane, or perhaps just a regular recipe, or different things like that. Just different topics on each Sabbath.
I want to come.
Please do. And I love not only sharing that, but I love hearing what other people do, because we all learn from each other. We're all students and teachers. Another thing I learned in witchcraft. And it's fascinating to hear what other people do. They have some great ideas, and I grow from those.
And it's not fun gatekeeping at all.
No, Yeah, I've experienced that in many different paths, spiritual and secular, and it's just not for me. So I don't do it.
If your intention is in the right place, there's a reason you're drawn to Wiccan and witchcraft, because you want to experience more in life. So it's a bit like, why would you gatekeep that if you've got pure intentions? And if you haven't, it becomes really obvious really quickly.
I totally agree with you. And that is another factor playing into my approach to it is that I like that there's no recruiting because there's no need for it. First of all, people aren't going to find Wicca or witchcraft or anything for that matter until they're ready, until they make that step on their own and decide, hey, I want to explore this. When people do, as far as Wicca goes, I am happy to be one of the resources that's available for them. But if someone had tried to recruit me many, many years ago, I wouldn't have listened. Now I can't hear enough.
Time's right, you see.
Exactly. There's no coincidences. Another thing I learned straight away.
I'm Ned.
And I'm Emma, and we're the co-hosts of Which Way Next?
It's our ongoing journey into the magical, the mindful and the messy, and we'd love to have you along for the ride.
We talk about real-life witchy stuff, protection spells, seasonal rituals, shadow work, and all the weird, wonderful bits in between.
There's plenty of laughs, a touch of dark humour, and games like magical this or that to keep things playful.
So if you're figuring out your path and fancy some honest magical company,
light a candle,
grab a brew,
and come and find your way with us on Which Way Next.
So you've got a book out.
I do. It just came out. That is from many of the courses that I've been offering over the years. And I finally compiled a lot of those teachings into one book. It's nothing that when I started teaching, I ever set out to do. It just sort of happened. And I'm very, very pleased with it. It's another way to have that information out there for people who, a live session may or may not work with them. Recorded audio may or may not work with them. It's just another way for them to have access to it.
What's your book called?
It is called A Place Between the Worlds. It's on my website. It's currently now on Amazon, and hopefully it will be on Apple Books very soon as well.
You should totally do an audio reading. Tell me you've done that.
I haven't done that in the strict form. The book is a collection of individual courses. I do have them available as on-demand audio for listening. I think I might possibly be repeating myself if I do that, but I don't know. I'm open to it.
I love an audiobook, me.
I do love audiobooks. There's something so nice about having someone just read to you.
Yeah, do a bit of gardening at the same time.
Oh, that's nice. Yes, I love gardening. I can imagine how pairing the two would be wonderful.
Surely most witches love gardening.
Well, I would think so.
You'd think, yeah, you would.
It's a bit different here in the desert Southwest because growing season is pretty much 3/4 of the year, but we're not able to grow some things that other people do in their practice. So I make some adaptations for things that I grow just for my practice. I use a lot of resources from the desert. For example, when you're wanting something, let's say, spiky for a protective working, well, we've got plenty of that. We've got cactus spines. They're all over the place. So instead of having nettles growing prolifically around here, which we don't, we do have the other.
You work with what you got, right?
Exactly. And I think that brings you more in contact with the earth and with the seasons, and also your region, the spirits of that land as well.
Yeah, and I think your spirit aligns more to the stuff that's grown around you as well. Your vibration and stuff. I mean, my last guest, who was a herbal specialist for canines, she talked about how herbs apply to certain people, because they're native to their land. I mean, in the UK, were terrible for buying white sage in, which I don't do. I use sage from my garden. It's like the in thing at the moment is white sage, but why? You should leave it where it grows and use our sage.
I do agree with you, yes. And I use desert sage. That's what I grow in my garden. And I found that recently I've been using creosote in my practice because at this time of year, we're gearing into the monsoon season when we get the bulk of our rain. And when that rain comes down, it's very powerful and almost violent. And then as soon as it's over, the desert just cools down immediately. And when you go outside, you can just smell this wonderful. The first time I smelled it, I described it as heavenly incense from the creosote plant after it's had a nice drink of water. And after doing some research on it, I found out that it's got tons of magical properties for such as healing and regeneration. So, yes, I do like to use plants that are native to this area.
Just makes sense. It does.
It makes total sense, and
Yeah.
there's never a shortage.
That's true. It must not rain very much over there.
Where I am in Arizona, we get more than most places, but compared to other states, we don't get that much rain. Like I said, we get the bulk of it during the monsoon season, which is going to start around the 1st of July. It goes through September. And about on a good year, every other day, we'll have very, very powerful thunderstorms in the afternoon. Anywhere else, it looks like the next thing you're going to see is a tornado, but that never happens here.
Oh my
We
gosh.
just get a big downpour of rain. I think the most exciting part about that is people here are just fascinated by it. Everyone goes outside after the rain has subsided because it's cooler. It's a nice break from the summer heat, and then there's that fragrance. And I think there's something very healing in that, in the monsoon itself, right there, is that it makes people get up, it makes them get outside and come together for ever how long everyone's outside. There's no talk of differences. There's just a commonality sensed in appreciating that moment, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Thunderstorms are so powerful, aren't they? Anywhere in the world, if there's a thunderstorm, I, as a witch, always want to go out there and get hot buckets out and hot jars.
I do that too. Yes, I have a jar of monsoon water sitting right here to my left.
Nice.
Actually, yes. We had one year where there was almost no monsoons. It was a very, very dry year. And when we finally got them, that first storm was just, it was making up for lost time, so to speak. And so I did make sure that I not only gathered water from that, but I saved a portion of it.
Yeah, I always want to just run around in the storms. I mean, I'm in Britain, there's rain all the time, but not a storm, just rain.
Yeah, these are definitely storms. These are not the gentle rains that you get in the Pacific Northwest. We do get those from time to time, but these you almost have to experience one to completely appreciate it. Like I said, it's powerful and almost violent, but at the same time, it's just beautiful. And people here either love them and look forward to them, or they dread them. I look forward to them, except when they knock the power out. That's not good.
Then again, it could be freedom. It could be like an hour of no internet, no distractions.
Which is also quite good for us. Like I mentioned earlier about the getting outside, take a break from the electronics. I love technology. I really do. It's made my life tons easier, but it's like any other tool. You've got to use it appropriately and not overuse or misuse it.
You mentioned about tools earlier on. Do you want to run through what your favorite tools are?
Oh, well, I would have to say immediately what comes to mind is the cauldron. I love that the cauldron is a symbol of transformation and change. And I also love that basically any pot we put on the stove is, in this truest form, a cauldron, because we're changing something. We're doing a spell work as we're cooking. Yeah, I do feel like the cauldron is such a powerful symbol, even though it's one of those that sort of gets painted in a bad light or misused in horror movies. Those who know what it truly means, there's something beautiful to it. And I also, in my practice, use a stang, which is, I know, more of a traditional witchcraft thing, but in my tradition, I do use it because I just like it. I like what it represents. When I do in-person circles, sometimes the use of an athame might be questionable, in those areas. So never a problem with the stang. And I've got one that came from a nearby tree that I dearly love, that's been there. It has stood witness to so many things in my life. And one of the fallen branches I discovered one day was in my path. And I asked, may I use this for my practice? And the answer was, of course, yes. And so that's very special to me.
Is that like a wand?
It is. It's like a walking staff,
Okay.
a larger wand. I have another one that is just as wonderful because it unscrews in several pieces and it will fit into a backpack. The best thing about it is, unless if I take my pentacle off of it, if I go on a walk with it or take it someplace, it doesn't scream witchcraft. You don't get the looks. Everyone thinks it's completely, quote unquote, normal. So that's kind of nice.
And when you said it comes apart, I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah, it just unscrews and it breaks down, and it's
in your
it's
bag,
easy
nobody
to.
knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. It's very easy to travel around with you.
Not so much a cauldron.
No, although I do have more than one, and I like my smaller one for taking places with me, and also for just burning incense on a regular basis.
Feminine energy, isn't it? A vessel of feminine energy. But it's the seasoning, the seasoning of the cauldron. I have an assortment of cauldrons around this house and I want to use them, but it's like, oh no, then I've got to season them and take the oven out and cover it in oil, and it's such a pain.
It is, but we have a lot of cast iron cookware already that came about even before my journey. So it's just kind of second nature to me. But yeah, it does. It takes a little effort to keep them up as they should be kept up.
Yeah, I might have to talk about it a little bit because I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know about this. I mean, for a long time, I didn't know about seasoning a cauldron. And then when I got a cauldron, I used it and it went rusty, the first one I ever had, and I was devastated. And people were like, well, do you not realize you've got to like do stuff to it? And I was like, what? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I've made that discovery. Well, I didn't actually make the discovery in the same way. When we first began cooking with cast iron, my wife said, oh, by the way, I've used these before and you need to know this. So I came into it prepped.
Helpful.
Yes, very. But I do understand the importance of taking care of them because I've heard a lot about what can happen if you don't.
Yeah, I've discovered that the hard way.
Yeah, it's not
in my
pleasant,
early
I hear.
witching. Poetry. Now, I love poetry. You write poems as part of your spiritual practice?
I do. I think that started out with when I was writing down some spells initially. And I thought, it also began with my music. Everything I produce is 100% instrumental, but I would start to write lyrics for what I had in mind that I wanted to work on. And I ended up just saving those lyrics and saving them off separately as poetry. So that's how it came to be. I'm not classically trained, so to speak, in poetry, although I've been writing for years and years. I've always loved writing in different forms. So it just seemed to come about as a natural extension of many other things that I was already doing.
There's healing in creativity, isn't there? I believe.
There is a lot of healing in
Yeah.
in the creative process. Again, we talked about feeling peace. There's that component too, but I just feel so alive when I'm actually in the creative mode and accomplishing what I'm setting out to do. it's also very much like gardening. I love just being able to go from planting to caring for to harvesting. Same goes with writing or music. You can see all of those different phases in the creative process. And there's so many good feelings that come from that.
And for me, when I don't do it enough, I feel it. I feel like the pull on my soul almost. Like, oh gosh, I haven't wrote poetry for ages or journaling. I love journaling, like scrapbooking and stuff like that. And it's amazing how it all connects within witchcraft.
That is well said, a pull on the soul. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Sometimes I will just start working on a piece of music that I never intend to publish just to for that catharsis, so to speak.
Yeah, and you're on Spotify. I've been listening to a few of your things.
Oh, thank you.
And there were one of the goddesses, was it Hecate? You did one for the god. It might be Morrigan, actually.
The Morrigan, yes.
Yes, that was really good.
Oh, thank you. I said I only write instrumentals, and that's true. I do have one guest vocalist on several of my tracks. His name is Edmund, and he's one of the crows in my neighborhood who interacts with me, or I think more accurately, summons me from time to time. And I was outside one time, and I thought he was being very vocal, and I thought, I'm just going to record this, and I'm pretty sure he won't mind if I use him in my music.
I've just got this cartoon image of you with like a microphone pointing it to the crow. Have you got anything to say?
I just happened to be sitting outside reading on my iPad, and again, he kept going and going like, are you getting the message yet? And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. So I pulled up the voice recorder and did a little editing of the background noise, and it was good to go.
I love that it's an actual crow that you know.
Yes, and I just saw him like an hour ago when I was outside.
I love it even more now. It's the stories. I love the stories with podcasting. You know, you get to talk to people and you hear their stories, and there's always amazing little roots, like little rivers throughout their life, you know, that like connecting, and oh God, I love it.
That's actually kind of how there's a story with that as far as the crow and my music, or the way my music has turned over the past few years. I used to write a completely different style of music, and now what I do is more witchcraft or folk or pagan influenced. But as I was making that transition, my wife and I were out at the pool, and we heard the crow cawing, and she said, "Did you hear him?" I said, "Yes, but I can't see him. Where is he?" She said, "He's right over there in that tree." I looked over, I didn't see him. She said, "The one that looks like a Yule tree." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yes, I see him now." And she said, "I think you should write a song about that, a crow and the Yule tree." I said, "Okay. No, I think that would be very, very popular." Okay, fine. And so she just kept going on about it. And much like the crow, I've learned, you know, when there's that repetition coming, I should be paying attention. And I thought, okay, fine. So I grabbed a notepad and I started sketching something out. And lo and behold, that became the first track of my new musical presence, was a crow in the Yule tree.
so many crows.
I can't
Love it.
escape them, and I
I
don't want
know.
to.
Your wife sounds pretty clued up on the old witchy ways. Is she a witch too?
She is not. She would, I would say, identify as spiritual, but extremely supportive of Wicca and witchcraft and what I do. But probably the best way to describe her is not only does she believe in magic, she very much is magic.
Oh,
I never have to struggle to see magic in her. That's just one of the many ways she's always helping me.
oh, proper sweethearts.
35 years now.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing. It is so important to have a partner that gets it. That doesn't have to be in it. I mean, my husband isn't involved either, but again, like your wife, he really respects it because it makes me so happy.
Exactly. Yes. It's that, you're always doing that for one another, regardless of what it is. And back to witchcraft for a moment. We got married long before I ever made this discovery. And now that I look back on it, I refer to her as my balance, because we got engaged on Ostara unknowingly, and then we got married on Mabon. So both of those important times occurred at an equinox.
So even then, the universe were like, hey, and you didn't notice, I'm here.
See, there are no coincidences.
I know. My firstborn is born on Yule.
Oh, wow.
And that was before I was into witchy, just before into the witchcraft stuff. Yeah, I got a Yule baby.
Very, very nice. And that it's got to be a wonderful time of year with the rebirth of the sun.
It is, it's lovely. And I call her Flossibum Ray of Sun because her middle name is Ray. So
Oh, very nice.
she's got golden hair, bless her. It is a bit intense though, because it's like the 21st, it's your birthday, toys, and then 3 days later, it's Christmas, toys. where do I put all these toys? There's no way.
Well, it's great that you celebrate both, because there's, opportunities for extending the holidays.
Yeah, I do both. I mean, you know which one I prefer, obviously, but
Obviously.
because the house has small kids in it, you've got to. It's that Easter and Ostara. I do both again for them mainly. If I were on my own, I wouldn't bother, but gotta keep the
Right.
magic alive, isn't it?
It does. And I found when I first started celebrating Yule, it was just this amazing click with me, because I never, even when I was a Christian, I never got into Christmas. It just never worked with me. When I found out about Yule, immediately it was like the light turned on. I'm like, oh, now I totally get it. And then when I started to understand why, it was the first time in my life I knew why we have a tree, why we
Yeah.
have a wreath, why all of these things. Wow, this really means something to me. So that was my first Sabbath, and for those reasons, I have a very, very special love for Yule.
You recognise all these things from Western culture, like, oh, that's from paganism. Oh, that's from paganism as well. Also, that.
Each time I would make that discovery for the first time, my first reaction was I was a bit put off. I'm like, no, really, this has been stolen. And now I'm just like, okay, you've got to get over that, and just here's what it really means, and don't be upset about it. Let people, if they want to celebrate it their own way, that's not a problem.
Absolutely. Like you say, we don't tell people how to live their life. We trust that they have their own intuition.
Exactly. And I've learned through all of this that if I want my relationship, or if we want to use the word religion, if I want tolerance from others, then it's important that I show the same tolerance and respect for others too. And I do. I truly do. I truly honor and respect people to be able to do to have any relationship or religion that they want, because that's their path. And if it means something to them and it makes them happy, what can be wrong with that?
Exactly. And that's the problem with most mainstream religions, I believe. It's like, no, it's not your way, it's wrong. My way is right.
That was one of the things that I constantly struggled with, that in that was not just good enough to be Christian. You're not our particular brand of Christian. And if you're that one, then somebody else doesn't agree with it. And it was exhausting. Yeah, it's nice to be on a path where you can recognize and actually truly appreciate where others are coming from too.
It's like if you're not wearing the correct Christian shorts, you're not coming in.
There's way too much of that. That was one of the first things I learned in the craft was the people who I learned from would say things like, here's what I do, but you do you. Wow, I can adapt this to fit me. Okay, this is new, but I love it.
You're a priest, a Wiccan priest. And I guess you still get the question, can men be witches? Which also just blows my mind. Yes, indeed they can. But
They can, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm interested in how you became a priest. Was it like self-initiation type job?
To answer your first part, it's interesting that there is the connotation that it seems kind of strange when people hear a man is a witch. It was that way in the yoga industry too. Most people expect that the yoga teachers are going to be female. And then when I would walk in, they're like, oh, okay, there's not a problem, but we weren't expecting you. So there is that mindset of, oh, it's more of a female thing. I had a little apprehension about that when I began my journey because I thought, well, am I entering into something I probably shouldn't be into? And I found out, no, there's a place for men too. And there wasn't any sort of division or anyone looking, I don't want to say this way, but looking down upon me or figuring that, I was less than. So it was very much an equal playing field, which I totally enjoy. And so I am self-initiated. I practiced for the longest time as a solitary practitioner. And then as I began growing, one thing led to another, and I was reading some encouraging ideas about the benefits of starting your own tradition. And I thought the author proposed, why not start your own tradition? And I didn't have an answer for that question. I thought, yes, why not? So I did, and I built a practice of Wicca that basically is a reflection of my personal practice, which is there's different influences to it, such as Celtic, Germanic, and Native American, because those are all influences in my personal background. So I carried them over into my practice. And again, there's not a coven per se, but there is the circle component of it where people can join in for this. There's not a membership, but all are welcome in this practice of this tradition.
Sounds like Scott Cunningham. Was it him by any chance?
Oh, you
I
got me.
love him. I love
Yes.
him.
Oh, I do too. I do too. I wish he had written so many more. I know anyone can tell just looking at my bookshelf which are his, because they look like a porcupine with all the bookmarks I've got on them.
Ah, I love it.
Such
Yeah,
a wonderful teacher,
He
and
was.
he is a great read for somebody just starting out. That was one of the first that I found through recommendations from other people, and I absolutely love his writing style.
Me too, yeah. I think he was the first witch to say, how about you do it on your own? How about you give yourself the power? And that just inspires me so much. It really does. And I've got all his books and I read them all the time.
It was very inspiring to me too, and that goes back to my time in the church. I used to wonder, okay, well, I'm doing this and it's great, but why is it a bad thing if I do it on my own? Why do I need to be, for lack of a better word, enlisted in this particular way to do it? I always had a struggle with that. So when he proposed it, I was very receptive to it because I thought, okay, this fits in to another question I've been having pretty much my whole life. And the answer is yes, you can.
Yeah, I think we're aligned quite similar in that respect because I'm also a very solitary witch. I used to be a Wiccan and I don't know if I still am now. I don't know. Maybe I am, but I get a bit twitchy about the history of it, in Britain and stuff. So that's my own stuff I need to unpack.
Of course. Yes. It's a term that many are familiar with, and so it's an easy one to stick to. But I really feel like that at the end of the day, we are all on the same team. I tell people I can go to a gathering that's predominantly Druid, and I will know exactly what is going on in that circle. And I'll feel the same energy and I'll feel the same welcome. So there isn't that division of, well, you're not doing it as right as so and so. There's none of that. And I find that to be completely refreshing.
And I always find as well when you go to stuff and you like clock people across the room, I always think, I know you're a witch. I can tell.
Sometimes you can. Sometimes my accuracy with that isn't so good. And then a lot of times I have my suspicions, and the worst thing happens, I never get to find out.
Oh, that is the worst.
Isn't it?
But then sometimes people go no, and I'm like, but why not? You would be an excellent witch.
I tell Mrs. Crow all the time, I say, we'll leave someplace, and I say, I think so-and-so is definitely a sister. Really? Do you think? Okay. I don't know. You just have the hunch.
Yeah. And not recruiting or anything, just maybe you should look into it. Have a bit of a research.
Exactly.
Well, Crow, we have done an hour. That was like the fastest hour ever.
Ditto. Yes.
Amazing.
It was already. Okay.
Can you tell my listeners where we can find you?
Yes, you can find me at crowmoonaz.com. And also on Instagram, I'm at crowmoon5, and it's the number 5.
Is there a reason for number 5?
Initially, it is because it's always been my favorite number, and I've never known why. And now I do. Earth, air, fire, water, and spirit.
Aha. Should have seen that coming.
I didn't see that coming. Growing up, I always gravitated to the number 5. And now I know.
Pivotal in it as well. 5 is like, could go one way, could go the other.
Exactly. You never know. I just want to mention is, I would say to anyone who is seeking the path, there will be times when you feel alone, and that's very natural. Do not feel alone. You are not alone. If you're celebrating a Sabbath, let's say Yule, for example, at home by yourself, you're still not alone, because somebody, maybe even right down the street or around the block, is celebrating it too. We're all in this together.
You have been listening to the Bell Witch podcast, created with love and magic by me, Swailes, the Friendly Green Witch. Big thank you to my lovely guest for this episode. And thank you to you, dear listener, for choosing the Bell Witch podcast to fill your ears. If you have a witch business, an independent podcast, a witchy topic you'd like me to talk about, or a trailer you'd like me to play, reach me on the Bell Witch podcast at yahoo.com. I love to hear from you, and I love to support you, and I love to celebrate other witch businesses, because there indeed is magic in sharing audiences amongst podcasts and other spiritual businesses. If you would like to show the Bell Witch podcast some love, you can leave ratings and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts, as those stars really do help the show to shine. Join the Bell Witch podcast on Patreon for bonus content, early access, and behind the scene videos. Until next time, stay magical, witches. you.